Hi guys, Steph here from Novelty Box, and today I am back with a requested video on how I make my dividers for my not my Filofax, for my Kikki.K planner. So for those of you who requested it, this is for you. I'm sure there are tons and tons of videos out on YouTube on how to make your own dividers. This is just the way that I do it. It seems the most natural way for me to do it. So I hope that you enjoy this video. Now I'm just going to move these tabs. So some of you might have seen these Halloween dividers that I made back in October for my Filofax. And if you follow me on Instagram, you've probably also seen these ones that I was having a little go at making a couple of months ago. So first of all, what you need in order to be able to make your own dividers is a template of your divider. So I use predominantly my Kikki.K original dividers, and I just trace around the edge. I also made another little sample set based on the same dimensions but with slightly different tabs. These aren't perfect, obviously. They're just, hang on, let's see if I can line them up a little bit better. Based on the measurements of my Kikki.K dividers, and then I changed the length of the tabs slightly so that they were 5 instead of 7. I actually prefer the 7. I have 7 sections in my planner, which I'll show you now. Okay, so these are also dividers that I've made, and I have 7 sections. And the last one is a full page one that sits at the back. It stops the rings from bending on the back of the planner. It also keeps the paper from bending in behind as well. So after you have your template, and these ones are, if I jump in here, sorry, it's just off the side of the camera, about 9.5 centimetres by 17 centimetres. I'm Australian, I do work on the metric system. If you need to convert it to inches, just add it into Google. It's pretty good at doing that. The other thing that you will need is a pen. I'm using a friction pen because I am going to be laminating these. The friction pens are erasable pens, so not only can I rub out my lines, but if I run it through the laminator, the ink is actually going to disappear anyway because it disappears with extreme heat. A pair of scissors or a cutting mat. Oh. Sorry, let me just go grab the dog. Sorry about that. My dog just saw something that he didn't like. So you'll need a pair of scissors or a slicer if you've got one. I don't mind using scissors, I just find it quicker to cut around the edges. You will also need paper, and you can use any kind of paper. You can use scrapbooking pads of paper. This is just one that I picked up from Big W. You could use, this is another pad. This is an A4 pad of double-sided pattern paper that I picked up from Typo. I prefer double-sided paper because then you get a pattern on both sides. And this is a little bit thinner. What I have done for some of my dividers in the past is folded them over. So let me just show you an example of what that might look like, where I literally just folded it over and glued it down and then ran it through the laminator. That works, but it ends up a little bit thick. And what happened with a couple of my Halloween dividers is that the edge didn't seal as well when it ran through the laminator. The other thing that I really like to use, sorry, I'm just reaching over to grab things, is wrapping paper. This is some very good quality wrapping paper that's also double-sided that I picked up a couple of months ago, and I like to use that. Again, that's reasonably thin. It's just a little bit thicker than standard computer paper, and it laminates really, really well. And that's what these ones are made from. And when you laminate them and cut them out, you can cut the edge a little bit closer to the paper. And a set of dividers that I'm currently working on. These ones are all cut out, ready to laminate. These are actually some paper that I painted and then photocopied, so it's just on thinner card and double-sided. I'm doing a painting course with Studio Calico, and I really like some of the patterns that I was making, and I'm a big fan of black and white, so I wanted to make these into dividers for my planner. So that's another way you could completely customise your own by painting your own, copying it onto some thinner paper and making it double-sided, cutting it out and running it through a laminator. So those are the basic things that you need. So these are the same pages as the ones that I've already cut out, but I'm going to quickly run through my process of making a divider. So I'm going to hopefully keep this in camera, and I'm going to work off my Kikki.K tab. So this one is going to be the first page of the first divider of my next set. So all I'm going to do is place it down where I want it. I'm not too picky. I think these will end up looking okay no matter what. Trace around the edge. Oh, and the other thing that you'll need, which I forgot to mention, is some laminating sheets and a laminator. If you don't have a laminator, you could probably just use a sturdier card. I prefer laminating them. I think they just last a little bit longer and gives them a bit more protection. So you can see I've drawn or traced around my dividers. It's not perfect, it'll be fine though. So when you cut them out, it's just as simple as cutting on the line. Because I'm using the erasable pen, I am not too fussed about the lines remaining. And again, you could do, I mean, this is a medium size Kikki.K planner, which is equivalent to a personal size Filofax. You could do this for any size. And you can see it's kind of, I've cut mostly on the lines, but where I can still see the pen, I can just erase it going along the lines. And like I said, as soon as this runs through the laminator, all of those lines will disappear anyway. So I'm not too concerned. Okay, so there's one divider already done, and I'll just repeat that process for the rest of them. Next up, I will take my laminating sheets. I've got a reasonably brand new box. I'm a teacher, I go through these boxes fairly quickly. They really need to come up with a way of making bulk purchasing laminating sheets a little bit cheaper. But anyway, so with these dividers, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the set that I've already cut out. I'm going to take the first two, and this is going to be a little bit tricky to see because the laminating sheet is a little bit larger than my filming size, but open it up. The trick with laminating pockets is always make sure you have a leading edge, which means put something right up against the top edge. That way it prevents it from curling in your laminator. Sometimes you can get away with it, but to be on the safe side, I prefer not to. Generally speaking, I can get, maybe I can get 3 in here. Yeah, no, I'm not going to get 3. Generally, I do 2, which is a little bit wasteful of the plastic, but reach it down. But what I've got is I want to have a decent edge, because when you laminate, I'm going to bring in this one up close so you can see. There are little edges where it doesn't seal completely, and this depends on the thickness of your paper as well, where it doesn't seal right up against the edge of your paper. So you want to make sure that you have enough space to cut around that edge, because if you cut right into it, and actually this might be a better example, is it going to focus? I think you can kind of see there that there's almost two edges on the plastic. This one right near the edge, and the one that's over here, and that's a little bit clearer. Yeah, you want to be really careful not to cut into that, because that's when your laminate will start to come apart. So these dividers end up being a little bit wider and a little bit longer than the original dividers, just by virtue of having to have that edge. But I don't mind, it keeps them a little bit safer. So I've got about 6 or 7 centimeters, actually it's nearly a full centimetre. Edge around the side, I've got some space in between. I do have a slightly thicker edge over here because I'm using A4 sheets. That's okay, but what I will probably do is take my scraps and pull off a little strip and stick it right in the edge here so that that side doesn't curl up and compromise this side. Please ignore the hole punches here because I was so involved in making my dividers that I started punching holes before I realised, no, I need to do that at the end. So once it's in here, you can run it through your laminator. Once it comes out, simply cut around the edges, being mindful of the little space between the paper and the sealed laminate. And then once you've done that, all you need to do is go through with your tab. So why do I keep saying tabs? It must be that kind of day. It's a Saturday morning, don't mind me. I simply line up my dividers, and usually I line it up from the edge of the paper, and I just take my friction pen, and this isn't really going to show up with ink. Actually, when you do this, it's more an impression, and that's all I really want, because the impression you can punch out and it doesn't really leave any lasting effects on your dividers. Okay, so after you've circled through the holes on your unpunched out divider, all I do is I take my single hole punch, find the impressions, line them up, and punch through them. Okay, and it's as simple as that. It really doesn't take very long. Some of you may have a 6-ring hole punch that you already use for your dividers. That will work just as well. I have a single hole punch. It doesn't take very long. So that is a really, really quick overview of how I make my dividers. I figured you probably didn't want to see the whole running through the laminator process. If you have any more questions, please leave them below. The biggest tip I can give you is try and find paper that you really, really enjoy, which is why I'm making some with my hand-painted papers. I think that's kind of unique. But yeah, and have fun and change them out based on seasons or months, because it will make it more fun and more interesting for you. And I know that when I'm more interested in looking at what I've got to do and my pages, I actually use them more. Otherwise, I tend to forget about them, which is why I've so heavily customized my planner. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope that you got something out of it. And any questions, please leave in the comments box below. And I'll see you next time. Bye.